Starting off with story number one, a big one that's been hinted for since before the actual election and since the actual inauguration. Now, not a day one signature, but it took about 50, 60 days for Trump to sign an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. What does that mean? It means a lot, actually. Happening yesterday, Donald Trump had an executive order signing during a very public, very interesting ceremony with a bunch of kids signing their own executive orders as well, I guess, to dismantle the Department of Education. Now, he can't actually do it just with signing the paperwork, but this actually transfers, what he was doing is transfer education authority back to the states and local communities. A long-standing conservative goal that's basically when this was put in place, the department by Carter back in the 70s. Reagan wanted to get rid of it immediately, but it could not be done. It took 45 years to get it done. Now, President Trump criticized the department for its inefficiencies and escalating costs since it was into law, brought into law by Congress in 1979. He argued that despite the significant federal investment into this, education outcomes have not met expectations. The administration has already initiated substantial staff reductions, laying off over 1,300 people off the bat, part of efforts to basically streamline operations or essentially eliminate things to make it cost less and make it work a lot less efficient, so it really doesn't work at all. The executive order sets the process in motion to complete the work to get rid of folks, but the department stays on the books until Congress actually gets rid of it because it's a congressional office. So the current political landscape basically says it's going to happen. There's no reason for the representatives who are Republican to not get rid of this thing, although there is the resistance, if you will, from Democrats trying to fight the powers that be at various levels of success, most of them not very. We'll see how this thing plays out and whether the photo op that is there, Trump and all the kids signing executive orders beside him, is the big kicker because Trump likes a party, Trump likes a show, and whether the actual impact, i.e. giving the rights back to the states to run their own education, which states already do, just without special funding, special safeguards and things to deal with higher education, essentially like Title I, things like that, that actually keep people from being discriminated and get people allowances for education that are hard to get to. Payments for special educations, payments for English as a second language, payments for things that people with disabilities, and of course, Pell Grants, things like that. And student loans, which will affect all the people who are still holding loans because, yeah, a whole lot harder, a whole lot easier. The Joni Mitchell song was stuck in my head pretty instantly as everybody that reported on this one had the same little pun to go with it. Paving paradise to put up a parking lot. And it's not quite a parking lot, but a place to park your butts, if you will, as Donald Trump is actually thinking about paving over the White House Rose Garden. I beg your pardon? No, not that song, the other song. President Trump has announced plans. He wants to renovate the historic White House Rose Garden, aiming to replace the existing grass with a stone surface to facilitate events and address issues caused by wet conditions. He believes the change will enhance the functionality of the space, particularly for guests wearing high heels. The proposed redesign draws inspiration from the patio era at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. The intention is to create a more durable and versatile area space suitable for gatherings, mirroring the aesthetic and practicality of his private property. The Rose Garden has undergone various transformations since it was put there in 1913 by Ellen Wilson, the wife of Woodrow Wilson. Notably, the First Lady Melania Trump oversaw a renovation in 2020 to improve the infrastructure and improve some accessibility that was there because it was a big grass field. Some critics argue that the new plans may compromise the garden's historic significance, and the administration maintains that the renovation will preserve essential elements such as iconic rose bushes while enhancing the space's usability. Now, what this looks like is another chance for Trump to put his stamp on a physical thing, something that he can change up that'll be hard to undo so that he exists. That's why his name's on all the buildings. That's why he wanted to build up so much wall. So a new rose garden that's no longer a rose garden, but actually a patio that looks a lot like Mar-a-Lago, just like his design for the new Air Force Ones look a lot like his own Trump branding, is in the works. It's going to happen. It's probably going to something that one of the smaller things that you really can't fight with all the large things we seem to be fighting. This is one that's probably going to happen and no one's going to really be able to do any pushback, and you'll learn to live with it because you will. But the iconography, the visuals, the views will definitely be different. But maybe it will actually help with the functionality. Maybe this is a good thing. He is a developer. He does know how buildings work. This one might actually be something good for the books. Unintended consequences. We've been talking about that a lot around here. And one thing in particular to talk about is the travel issues for people Now that we have these various bans, if you will, all these hauling off people coming across the border, specifically looking at migrants who are undocumented coming across to live here, work here, do things. It's coming up for issues that are happening back and forth for people who are living here, working here, doing things. We talked about the Canadian actress who had the issue with her visa coming back in and was detained for a little bit. Here's another issue of someone who apparently was detained. Germany is now updating its travel advisories for us, U.S. My cough button is no longer in line. I guess that's why I moved it. Germany is no longer, or let me do this again because we can use this for the clip, if you will. Germany updates its travel advisory for U.S. after citizens detained. Now, unintended consequences from travel things happen, and that's what we're seeing here. While the cracking down on people crossing the border is meant to keep migrants, illegal ones, people who are undocumented coming here and using facilities and, of course, being rapists and killers, this is an issue that's dealing with people who are traveling for work with valid work visas and people who are traveling for just in general. Germany has updated his travel advisory for folks going to the U.S. because of various issues with visas and approved travel that are hampering people crossing the border, i.e. people of German descent who are just regular Germans with visas or with passes and passports are being detained because they aren't Americans. Final decision will rest on U.S. border authorities to do what to do with this travel advisory, but they're approving a new electronic system for travel authorization, an ESTA, but it will not actually guarantee the actual access to the states based on what we, U.S., will do when they get here. Now, this update comes after various German citizens are being reported being detained at U.S. borders. One instance, a German man with a green card was detained at Boston Airport due to past misdemeanor charge, despite the charge being dismissed long ago. Another case involved a German tattoo artist detained for over 6 weeks, including a 9-week solitary confinement stay after officials suspected she intended to work illegally in the United States. She did not, and there you go. The stricter U.S. immigration policies have the tensions that occur among enforcement of President Donald Trump's administration. The policies focus on tighter border controls and visa procedures, affecting not only undocumented migrants, but people from other countries traveling who would maybe overstay their visa. Now, we know the most egregious people who have done these things are people who are overstaying work visas. Mostly students who have student visas who just sort of stick around for a bit and have that going on. Or work visas that go for them from various other countries, mostly European countries and some Southeast Asian countries as well. The German Foreign Ministry updated the guidance because travelers were dealing with this stuff on a number that was pretty significant, larger than it needed to be for them. So if you plan to visit us, U.S., from Germany, make sure you review the advised travel logs, what needs to be done for you to get here, and have your protections in place for when you do show up. The DA in the Menendez brothers case in Los Angeles says he, might consider the resentencing, but he has to get some lies cleared up. This is a story that's essentially a week old. We finally got it posted, and it was the way we posted it. It's long enough to stretch around to get into this Friday's edition. But the DA in Los Angeles County, District Attorney County, Nathan Hochman, has stated that he will consider the resentencing request for Lyle and Eric Menendez, but only if they, quote, sincerely and unequivocally admit, unquote, to full extent of their crimes and acknowledge their previous falsehoods. Hodgman says they're lying. They've been lying a whole lot of time and lying about a lot of things, and if they actually admit to some things, they could probably see a retrial going forward, or resentencing at least. He emphasized the brothers must fully accept responsibility for the actual murder in 1989 of their parents and for any leniency can actually come about. In response to the position, the family members who are actually supporting Menendez and those supporters as well held another rally. Lots of rallies at Los Angeles County Superior Court, criticizing the district attorney for focusing on politics rather than justice, arguing that the brothers have been rehabilitated and deserve a release. They were convicted in 1996 for the 1989 shotgun murders of the parents, Jose and Katie Menendez. Brothers claimed that the killings were in self-defense due to years of sexual abuse by their father. However, Hodgman noted that these allegations were not part of their original defense. No corroboration evidence was presented at the time. At the time, something like sexual abuse was not seen as a good way to run this case, so they didn't. They went on a bunch of other things, and of course, there was a lot of evidence saying that they just wanted the money, so it was hard to battle that back. Not using something like this because it was the 90s may have made sense back then because they didn't think it went on it, but now, over time, they think they can get a resentencing on this. But despite the stance by Hochman, California Governor Gavin Newsom is saying that he will he'll see it. If they appear before him with a parole board happening in June, he's going to review the case and maybe get some clemency. He's thinking on a bigger scale, and he may be thinking on a political scale as well. We'll see how this one plays out, as many family members and other supporters are down with this. Although there are many family members who are saying, no, they killed our family members. This should not pass. Quick pause in the action. Hopefully everything's going well. What's going on? We're doing some testing of things, and we'll give you an update on the way out with some things. We're doing some fixes, some changes, some testing of things for spring break, and because we have a little extra time to play around with things. But right now, the normal stop between stories, 4 down, 4 to go, gives us a chance to very quickly ask you to help us out with the growth of the Conversation Project and these videos here. So if you like this video right here, if you like the way we're talking about stuff, like the news articles we're doing, you like the commentary we're receiving for this, yes, I am not a unbiased spectator. I do have bias, but I do my best to give you the articles and the news straight as it is, the details, and then give a little bit of pepper to it. Let me know by liking the video you're watching here. And you see this video coming down to you on YouTube, on X, and of course on Facebook. If you like it on those platforms, the algorithms will tell more people who are subscribed and linked to us in some way that we're worthy of being checked out. More people can see it, more people can view it, and more people can maybe like it as well. Also, like I said, I know I'm doing a better job of what's going on. It's, of course, a worse job of what's going on. If you know people who would enjoy this automatically, share it with them directly and have them like it if they want to, or share it as well. So more people are joining in the conversations that this thing actually is. And if you're not getting this natively in your feed, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe so you can hear exactly what's going on. You can see what's going on. You can get this directly in your feed as things go down. Accenture is being listed as one of the first casualties on the corporate level of DOGE, as shares plummet on the news of contracts being cut because of efficiency in the government. Accenture is a global consulting firm, and they reportedly see government spending cuts, and reported that the recent U.S. government spending cuts will have a negative effect on its revenues, i.e., less money spent to them as a consulting firm to fill the gaps that the government needs, means they're going to have less money in their coffers. The Federal Service Unit, which contributes about 8% of its $16.8 billion global revenue, will experience a slowdown because new contracts aren't being renewed. Following the announcement, the shares for Accenture dropped by 7% to $300.91, 15% decline since January. Investors are concerned about the potential long-term effects reduced government spending will happen because of the whole military-industrial complex. It is a real thing. Things are warming around the government and the military specifically. Bring in contractors that must have money to keep things going because they must do things to keep things going. It's a cycle that is going on and on. So to cut efficiency, the military industrial complex and the government industrial complex should be cut. And that's going to save money. But it trickles down to governments and companies who aren't getting paid. Firing government workers mean more people need jobs, and getting rid of contracts for people who fill some gaps that were already there mean more people need jobs. DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon Musk, has been actively reducing federal expenditures, and this initiative has led to the cancellation of numerous consulting contracts, including those with Accenture, and they seem to be the biggest first shot at seeing the numbers not quite number so well going forward. Deloitte and IBM, of course, big firms that have a lot of government contracts, also dealing with their scrutiny as well. GSA, General Services Administration, has instructed federal agencies to review and justify their contracts with major consulting firms because these are the ones that should got cut first, not the people, but they're catching up. Eggs, still in the news, but this time for a different route. Eggs coming into the nation, eggs being brought in by the border, are now being seized more than fentanyl. It is true. Your egg smuggling has risen as your fentanyl smuggling has essentially bottomed out. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol has reported a significant increase in egg product seizures at the nation's borders. Since the start of the fiscal year, there have been nearly 6,000 interceptions of egg products, maintaining a pretty big rise in what's coming in previous years. The surge in egg smuggling is largely attributed to the soaring egg prices here in the States, driven by avian flu outbreak and other domestic issues dealing with poultry stock. Some in the U.S. regions say egg prices have reached up to $10 a dozen in some places. But in Mexico, where they have lower standards and I guess more birds right now, you still get eggs for about $2 a dozen. bringing the undeclared egg product into the United States as health risk because this disease, like bird flu. Travelers attempting to smuggle eggs may face fines up to $300, with penalties increasing for concealed attempts. The CBP data actually indicates that the fentanyl seizures have been going down since this period. About 400 fentanyl seizures events so far this fiscal year versus 6,000 egg seizures, highlighting the shift in the types of contraband being intercepted and, of course, a big lockdown at the borders themselves. Actively investigating potential price manipulation by large egg producers to make sure that the eggs aren't being artificially inflated. A $1 billion plan to enhance farm biosecurity and stabilize egg supply. Work towards getting in more birds, more bird flu fights, things like that. The root causes of the shortage are being investigated, so it's not just literally they can make themselves up and charge what you want to. The more or less actual cost of a dozen eggs is more in the range of $4 to $5. It's in various places where, yes, it's extreme, like it's $10 eggs. Those are usually, I'll say, specialized eggs if you want to, or it's something used to kind of hype things up, or in places like New York City or San Francisco where they are essentially food deserts. You can't just roll to the next Walmart right down the street because of the way populations work. Egg prices are a big deal. Some fix should come hopefully soon, although Donald Trump, so he promised that day one. Not quite there yet. Another tragedy, another failure, another person dropping a job based off the Trump administrations, and this is the CEO of Amtrak, who has abruptly resigned, hoping to stay in Trump's good graces, or at least keeping the company in good graces of Donald Trump. Stephen Gardner, the CEO of Amtrak, has resigned abruptly. His statement, Gardner expressed his intent to ensure that Amtrak continues to have the full faith and confidence of President Donald Trump's administration. The resignation follows recent remarks by Elon Musk, head of the Department of Government Efficiency. That guy has been brought up quite a bit lately. Musk believes, like many things going forward, it should be privatized. And it's Amtrak. Critics criticize the current state of the U.S. passenger rail system, comparing it unfavorably to the international counterparts. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has also criticized Amtrak's operations, particularly highlighting safety concerns at the Washington Union Station. Duffy has emphasized the need to address issues such as homelessness and crime to ensure travelers' safety in the nation's capital. But despite these challenges, Amtrak is reported to have record ridership right now. 32.8 million customers trips in 2024, the fiscal year itself, surpassing the pre-pandemic levels that, of course, had less people traveling. Ticket revenue reached about $2.5 billion, reflecting a 9% increase from the previous year. So Gardner's departure is raising questions about the future direction of Amtrak. Can he actually, he's not in charge, so he can't actually run the show, but who can run the show and keep themselves in the good graces of the administration? And, of course, DOGE, who has, let's just say, some of its own methods and means of meaning to do things in certain ways. While efficiency is the word and saving money is sort of the mission, there are maybe other issues involved. And finally, another flowers theme song to get stuck in your head right now, a current song called Flowers, as Miley Cyrus attempted to get a copyright lawsuit dismissed over the Flowers lawsuit with Bruno Mars, and it ain't happening. A federal judge has denied Miley Cyrus's motion to dismiss a copyright infringement lawsuit concerning her 2023 hit, Flowers. The lawsuit, filed by Tempo Music Investments, alleges that Flowers copies elements from Bruno Mars's 2013 song, When I Was Your Man. Tempo Music, which acquired the partial rights to Mars's song from a co-writer Philip Lawrence in 2020, claims that Cyrus's track replicates numeric, melodic, harmonic, and lyrical elements of the original. Cyrus's legal team argued that Tempo Music lacked the standing to sue, asserting that as a co-owner without exclusive rights, the company couldn't independently file a lawsuit. However, U.S. District Judge Dean Purgeson ruled against the argument, stating that the co-owners of the copyright can pursue infringement claims without the consent of the other co-owners. And that's really the big deal, is everybody is not suing Miley for the whole thing. It's one batch who has partial owner of the catalog, which is kind of how these people do to buy catalogs so they can go get money off people who have similar sounding songs. It contends, the lawsuit, that Flowers mirrors specific aspects of When I Was Your Man, including similarities to the melody, the harmony, and lyrics. Noticeably, the chorus of When I Was Your Man, here it is. I should have bought you flowers, held your hand. I should have gave you all my hours when I had the chance. Versus, I can buy myself flowers. I can write my name in the sand, talk myself to the hours, say things you don't understand. If you can hear it, maybe not in my melodic voice, you can hear it in the rhythms that were there. And of course, flowers, hand, flowers, sand, things like that. Parallels led to tempo music seek for damages in this one. So the case is not done yet. Right now, that means it's not thrown out, but it does not mean she has lost. They have won. Song garnered over 1 billion streams on Spotify, earned the Song of the Year Grammy in 2024. Lawsuit means that there's less plays of it, but trust me, people are still playing them some flowers. We have wrapped up the 8 stories for the day, and hopefully the sound is good for this one going inside because we're using this thing and not this thing. We're testing some things out for some other things we're working on, so hopefully it worked out well. I do need to acquire another cough button, though. In the meantime, it is time for the teaser section where we transition out of the stories that we had from yesterday, presenting for you this morning as I record this, to give you your headlines to talk about, or that we're talking about to talk about again, to figure out what we're talking about going forward. And going forward for today, because it's Friday, means Monday. So today's headlines from Friday, and this one specifically as our teaser story, has to survive the full weekend. This one, I'm pretty sure, will have updates. We'll talk something about this one as the breaking news across the everythings is the fire at a London electrical substation closing Heathrow Airport. Now, the short version of this right now is a substation, which is like in a suburb outside of London, caught fire. And what happened with that was it shut down the airport, one of the largest airports in the world. And it's going to be shut down basically all day Friday. No flights out of Heathrow Airport occurred. So with that happening, there is mass chaos and things going forth with that happening. And the big question is, how can one substation, which is in the suburbs, kill the airport's power? And what's about the backup power? There is backup power, except there isn't right now. So you want to talk about the fire at the airport, or the fire that shut down the airport in London? You just need to engage in the story. It's very simple. Follow us on our feeds on Facebook and on X. Facebook.com/thisisconversationproject and X.com/th_conversation. And when you do that, what you will find, what you will see, what you will experience is every 50 minutes or so we post news articles from various different news sources for you to engage in. We are a news influencer. We are news influencers, if you will. And just like the ones that talk about the big ones, we ain't got boots on the ground pulling up stories. I'm not there in Congress stepping by there, asking, we're walking with Manu Raju just pointing cameras in people's faces. I have to get it from them. So we post articles from various different sources. Some you may love, some you may not love. Some you may trust more than others because you are who you are. And we want you to engage in those stories. As you see them in your feed, like them, love them, hate them, reply to them, share them. The more you engage with the story, literally, the more you click on, you touch that actual headline, the better chance of talking about it in the forward time. Today, we brought you 8 stories from 15 of the top stories from yesterday's poll of about 30, and that's how you have it here. Monday, we'll give you 10 stories. So this Monday, we'll have 10 stories, and we'll pull them from 30 total stories or 30 stories of top stories from a total of 90 or so stories of the weekend. So if you want this story to basically survive the weekend, I'm pretty sure we'll get some updates on this one, so it'll be big enough that it will last. It'll be there. But it want to be one of the, let's say, other 9 stories in the queue for your Monday. Make sure you're engaged with the stories. Check us out all weekend long and make sure you're engaged in what we have going out there. Now, we did not talk about Steve Bannon making the unsettling prediction for Trump in 2028. It was not quite as high as I thought it was. I guess it was a bigger story a few days ago when we first saw it, but we didn't get into it late. But the headline is something you probably already know, which may also be why you're not really worried about it. Donald Trump made notions that made sound like, he may still be president in 2028, even though he is barred from running one more time. Steve Bannon says he's running one more time, whatever that means. We can talk about that any way you want to, but right now, not in the queue for today's stories going forward. And speaking of the queue and speaking of news, we're going to talk about today's sponsor, which is Ground News. Ground News is a way for you to get less biased opinions, or technically more biased opinions for stories, and make sure you're not seeing one side to the stories. They give you the bigger picture by allowing you to see those perspectives from all venues. You can uncover where your news is coming from and what other sources are saying about the same news you're getting from different media outlets has their report on the same story, and get a true unbiased perspective, or get more bias than you really want, or more bias that you actually really do want, based on you. Your mileage may vary on ground news, but it's a great service that offers local, national, and global perspective of all news stories. Any headline that's out there, it aggregates all the headlines it can from various sources and lets you know more about the actual news story so you can read it in its own and see how they're covering it, and about the source itself. Is the source a locally owned something to you, like a TV station or a newspaper? Is the source a global owned conglomerate that does global news and talks about some way? Is it one of the headline cable news channels that are owned by questionable people in different places? You can find what's missing in the stories by reading others' versions of the stories and literally seeing what's going on. And the blind spot feature shows you what different political leanings are covering. Essentially, what stories are covered all by the right, all by the left, and you can form your own opinion from those perspectives. You may be siloed on purpose or just sort of by how you are. You can see what other people are saying about stuff and then believe what your own eyes wants to believe. It is that simple. Get a balanced report of all news stories and get it on a discount with 40% off the Vantage plan from Ground News right now, and you can see beyond the headlines and get beyond the bias. Use our affiliate link to get that actual news headlines, get those headlines, and we get a small commission for it. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news. This is theconversationproject.com/ground news, and get in on this great deal. 40% off its Vantage plans, also off some other plans as well. Vantage is their top plan. It's the one we use to vet things here for Conversation Project. Check it out today. With that, we are wrapping it up for the day. We're going to start the wrap-up procedures. This is where we promote the Conversation Project. We're going to do a little bit more on that one. But first, we give much love and thanks to our partners. These are people who have decided to give a little bit of themselves, a little bit more of themselves in the way of a small financial token to help us fund our monthly activities, our daily activities on monthly functions, if you will. Spare change level, that's just $1 to Joy Winters. Cup of coffee level, which is $5 from Harold Braxton, Kobe Green, and Eldon Kidd. And there's also the pot of coffee level as well if you want to jump up that level there. What this provides for us is a little bit of money. A little bit of money goes a long way in getting things done here for the Conversation Project and paying off some things. You may not think that this $1 $16 donation, if you will, $6 contribution is a grand gesture, but it is. It proves that we're worth it, and we can use some more. We say that like that. There are ways. We do get one-time donations. There are links for one-time donations via both the Buy Me a Coffee platform, which you use for our platform, and Venmo and Cash App and PayPal and things like that. So if you want to send a one-time donation, you can do that as well and just kind of be done with it. We'll take that in stride, and we'll take it as being pretty good stewards of your funds, because that's what we do. But we want to say that first. Now, backtracking a bit to the Conversation Project itself quickly, because we're running longer. Well, we're running good on time for today. The Conversation Project lives online at this. It's theconversationproject.com. Our website is our home for stuff. Just like the gym is where you keep all your actual gym equipment, it's stored someplace down the street so it doesn't take up space in your home. We store news articles and these episodes for you so it doesn't take up space on your hard drive, it doesn't take up space in your brain, if you will. Check out the articles directly from there and check out what we provide for you so you can get the headlines that come through that are conversational. You can go to the website and see past episodes. You can see other links to other forums we're in. The audio podcast links, wherever your pods are cast, links to that is there. Also the email newsletter and the short clips on TikTok, which may have some changes if we do some changes to the format and literally tighten up how we're doing this thing. Take it from about a 20-minute broadcast, 18, 20 minutes of reading news to about 10 to 12. We're going to play around with that next week. So you'll see that happening as well. Also, find our feeds, find out more about our information, and see more about our sponsors and partners. All that is there at our website. This is conversationproject.com. Of course, don't forget our email address as well. The conversation inbox at gmail.com, so you can email us with your thoughts and concerns. And the most important thing you can do, we ask if you consider being a partner, consider joining to our sponsors. But the biggest thing you do that costs you very little other than time and maybe your internet bill, some data costs, if you will, is to follow us on the feeds and make sure you're engaging in stories so you have a better vote, growing the news nerd nation, as we say. Today has been Friday, the 21st of March, 2025. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. Thank you so much for being with us for the ride this week. We are not done with the news. As I say, every 50 minutes or so, we're posting more news articles. So we have news all weekend long to get to. We're also going to do some fresh clips. We're working on some things to do when we're not doing clips of the main stuff. We do some news stories ahead of time to get them in the feeds. We're going to work on how we're presenting some of our offbeat stories in a clip thing for the weekend. We are going to test a shorter version, a cleaner version of what we're doing for our presentations. And we're going to present, as we do every weekend, the weekly roundup, which is a roundup of news stories, 12 stories from the past week. And my math is always bad, so I'm not going to do the numbers. But we do, we do 58 stories throughout the week inside of things you might have heard. So inside of that, we're going to give you 38 stories, 36 stories. Math don't work so well today. We have to redo the math. I don't know why I messed that one up, but we do a lot of stories Monday through Friday. And so we take 12 stories that sort of had the biggest impact, things that jumped off the page, that either had updates that we need to get into, or things that were maybe so outlandish that they just need to be talked about, or something that you might have forgotten that really is more important than you may think. So we want to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. 12 stories that you engaged in last week that I'm choosing to re-engage in on Saturday. You can comment on that one as well. That comes out sometime Saturday. The time to record fluctuates because it's one of my few days off. So when I get to it, I get to it. In the meantime, enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy all the stuff going on. Email me at theconversationinbox@gmail.com for any questions, concerns, comments, or suggestions. You want me to do something specific? We will try it. We'll give it a try. Next week is spring break for my home base, my work, my institution, which is a 2-year college. So while I do tend to work some things there while the week is going by, I will have a little extra time. I don't have to be there so much on time. So that means we'll do some experimentation with some things and catch up work here as well. So look out for that. But as always, make sure you stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task for all the grand things that you are here to do. Life is a marathon. Do what you can to keep yourself, because it's probably up to you, from trying to turn into a sprint. So do that, please. Love you guys. Mean it. Weekly roundup is on the way. More news clips from going on. We're going to have a ball this weekend. We're going to have a ball next week. We want you to be a part of it. Let us know what we can do. In the meantime, enough meantimes. We're done for the day. Wrapping up. We'll see you in another Things You Might Have Heard Monday morning.